Good afternoon, aliens. My name is Carrie, and this is Leprechaun Alley. I'm finally back. Sorry about the missed show. We're not going to go into a whole big dialogue about. I guess I get it when I can, and I thank you for joining me. I deeply appreciate it. So I am here to take live astrology readings by request. If you put your birthday and year into the chat box, I will give a live reading by request. In the meantime, if there are no individuals who are requesting live readings, then I just kind of go on and have random coffee talk. We've actually been for the last week started looking at different birth charts. Joe Biden's chart, the fateful request that changed the format of the show. But we were also looking at Xi Jinping and looking at Kamala Harris and looking at different aspects and what I do want to talk about is the Saturn Uranus square, that they're going to be square. They're going to be within that 5-degree orb. That will start the 12th of July. So the big concern that we're having, the big concern that we're having right up until that point is through the end of July, beginning of August, we're looking at some pretty crazy events. This is kind of it's a pretty intense, hard aspect, and they will be square. So here we just got to watch out more toward what the stock market is doing. That's 2008 hard aspect with Saturn and Uranus, big crash economically. There was also a Saturn-Mars aspect the beginning in 1963, which of course we know what happened in that year. So also this is going to be an indicator. We really have to watch out with the travel, and maybe an indicator of airline crashes. Gosh, wouldn't it just be so great if we could just ground everything and be able to organize everything astrologically for ourselves? So the other thing that's really difficult about this aspect is that it's Mars and Rahu are also in the same house, conjunct Uranus. So now we have Mars, Uranus, Rahu, and Saturn at play. So I know I move around a lot. So these are the events that we want to be aware of. And I also want to come and take a look at this again. I got to switch my day to looking at the solar eclipse, October 25th. And I'll come here. Much more helpful. Oh no. I can't believe I just did that. There we go. That's what I wanted. So also October 25th, we're going to have the solar eclipse. I wish I could keep these both up at the same time. So the solar eclipse as well. This is going to start October 25th. It's going to be in the house of Libra. Yay! So definitely politics and a lot of legal matters, a variety of things are going to be very strange and unpredictable. So let's start with, I'm not going to stay on that too long today because I'm going to spend time only focusing on that individually with the show, or in the shows that I do that I will be doing that are not live. So, but the reason I just wanted to mention that is because we were still kind of taking a peek at maybe what could be going on when Joe Biden goes through a major planetary change, planetary period change, starting September 20th, 2022. And so that's going to be his Saturn, and that's going to be in the 7th house. So now what relationships do I want to look at? So you want to start with, so we have these two huge events that are going on. July 12th, this is where you have the big Saturn, Uranus, Mars, Rahu square. And then we also have the solar eclipse. I don't. Oh, and by the way, I also wanted to mention with Kamala Harris's chart, I was briefly having a conversation about her spirituality or her spiritual practice, and I completely forgot that she has also Saturn retrograde in Dhanishta, and she also has Rahu as her ascendant. So overall, what it shows with her is that she really has no interest in spirituality. It's not her thing. She's not here for that. It's kind of interesting, given that she has such a rich history from individuals that were much more spiritual, and she's not having any of it. So that doesn't mean that she doesn't have a spiritual practice or anything else, but she doesn't want to be bothered. She has, and also Rahu is an indicator of destiny. This is her first house. She is here with a huge destiny. And sometimes I actually see as well in medicine people's charts a Rahu Ketu in the 1st and 7th house, this Gemini Sagittarius axis as well. So you get some pretty interesting characters here. And I think there's someone else there. Oh, yeah. So here as well, she's also going to be very preoccupied with money. That's going to be her focus, in making money, financial gain. She has Mars in her 2nd house. So she's going to be very actively pursuing those things and generating and building wealth. And with Mars, she's going to put a lot of focus and emphasis into it. Not only that, the moon that rules the 2nd house, which for her is Cancer, that is located in the 11th house, which is Aries. So with Aries and the moon, I'm sorry, with Moon in Aries and Mars in Cancer, what you have is you have an exchange of signs for the planets, which still gives them benevolent results. It shifts the dynamic. So definitely the Moon in the 11th house, she's definitely going to be, upward mobility. There will be some, it's kind of interesting also looking at her because she has the moon, which is going to be one of the indicators for people or the public population. Um, she she doesn't, well, she doesn't do well. There are some people that like her, but a lot of people don't. And it, it doesn't matter because she's here doing something that she's destined to do that will benefit the world. Sometimes we just, even when you look at Trump's chart and you look at him and you think about his role in our government, while everybody gets all freaked out and alarmed by him, and believe me, I know there's, I he's a pretty intense guy. He's pretty wild. He's pretty bold. He's pretty out there, scandalous, corrupt. But the thing is with him is that he kind of, there's his purpose here is for catalyzing. And we need to actually look at the level of corruption in our government because it's not just him. It's not just him, and it's just that he's louder than everyone else. I can't really even say that I would say he's worse. I'm not saying I'd want to leave the country in his hands, but the country's been in a few people's hands that I really wouldn't want to put it in. Along with the economy. So a lot is also being exposed. Let me go back and look at the chart of the US for a minute. A lot of corruption is being exposed in general in the government. I'm gonna go here. There. So so there's a lot of government, a lot of corruption is being exposed in the government, and Saturn is retrograde and it's still kind of going back, and so it's in the house of communication. So something is going on. And also in Gemini, we also have, well, oh no, I'm thinking backwards. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the birth chart. um, of the US. Yeah, so a lot is being exposed in the communications, a lot is being revealed. There are all these planets over here, really just all over. All over Capricorn and Aquarius. So there are a lot of things going on. I don't even know where to begin. So we have governments being exposed, we have corruption being exposed. A lot of things are coming to light. A lot of things are coming out in the open. And wow. I just decided that I was going to take a little peeky poo over here at Xi Jinping. And his moon is actually in Aquarius as well. So the US moon and Xi Jinping, the moon is also in the same in Aquarius. His moon is in the 10th house. It's also going to be a career, indicators of the mother. Mother had something to do with his career. Oh, and I also went and looked up Mao Zedong and because I didn't have his data yet, I had to do a little bit more of a deep dive with that. So Mao Zedong was born December 26th, 1893. And like Xi Jinping, they are both year of the water snake. And I do often I can get into a little deep dive for this as well because, or a little deeper dive because, who knows, maybe they actually select the leaders by their birthdays. Maybe they do, maybe that's a factor. So I'm gonna see if they're known for using astrology. Those things don't occur to me until I get into it. Then I'm like, oh, I should have looked at that, I should have asked that question. Are they known for using astrology to select their leaders? So they're actually both water snakes, but Xi Jinping is a Pisces and Mao Zedong was a Capricorn. So what they have in common is that they are both deeply feeling. They like beauty. They like peace. They want peace at all costs. Well, we understand what that all costs means because we had talked about how with Xi Jinping, and more so he than Mao Zedong, Xi Jinping is more about, well, no, they're different. They're different, and here's why. Xi Jinping is more about, separating people that don't fit into his view of how things should go. They don't fit into his vision of beauty, his vision of acceptable behavior. There is an interesting dynamic, and actually I'm going to have a friend on. We're going to figure out when she's available that is really, really knowledgeable. She's knowledgeable about the history, the relationship. She was actually in China, I think in the 70s, and it was a very different place. So Mao Zedong, of course, what we know, even he believed what he believed is that everyone should be treated equally. Men, women, he didn't really get, at least not within his country, he didn't really get into the more exclusive, I want to say cultural dynamics. I can say racial, but he didn't want to be exclusive. I still, though, I don't understand why they had to invade Tibet. That I don't understand. That never made any sense to me. There's something I'll have to dig into a lot more regarding that. And we know that's one of the most horrific travesties of all time, especially in a country of people who are peaceful pacifists. And it does actually have, my understanding is that it does actually have something to do with the difference between Confucius and Buddhism. And that Buddhism is actually from more India and Nepal. So there could be some competition there. I'm not sure. But also, there is uh, sort of like the Northern European aspects that we have here. There is a preference that the individuals that are Han, they're similar, that they're believed to be the superior people, the superior culture. So that's what's driving Xi Jinping, and in terms of what has happened with the Uyghurs, and also I believe the Karen people. So, but I thought, I also had to think to myself, they did actually, because there has been this incredible economic growth since Zedong, and for me, for it to continue in that way, like in the US, what I'm used to, probably what we're used to, is that there is constant change. There's constant turning over, constant, um, not like there are a lot of changes and happen more frequently than China, except for that it's growing. They're, they were able to maintain this continuous economic model and this form of development. Now we have to look a little bit to see how the sauce is made. That's, but you don't want to look under the hood of the US that much either. For me, I almost feel like, I don't know, we've just been bullies around the world. And the only war that really made sense to me was World War II. And it still took us too long to get involved with that. Everything else is always about taking something away from someone else. There's no real, so I can go back and talk about the Chinese chart. The US is Cancer, and it was uh, born in Year of the Fire Monkey. So monkeys always have to be stirring. They constantly have to be creating. They constantly have to get things agitated and riled up. They can't just leave something alone. They constantly have to monkey with it, right, and poke at it, nonstop. And if they can find a way to get the if they can find a way to come out on top, so they can have unlimited access to whatever they wanted, well, we have that. That's kind of an issue. And also very interesting, we're Cancer, this country is a Cancer monkey. So for us as well, this is where Wall Street and the stock market and all of these things occurred. And Cancer is about, they have that harder outer shell, like they don't show their hand, they don't reveal. But they are also very materialistic. They like economic security, they like money, they also like, they're manipulative, and they like upward mobility. So you have this really interesting relationship. Uh, what can I think of? There's all of these different events and these changes that have happened within the country. First, we have the Revolutionary War. And I do appreciate that monkeys typically, at the same time, they're pretty good at amusing and entertaining themselves. They don't really need much from the outside. They have everything they need within them. And I would say that's very much what the US is, even though we have this, the cancer, we have this horrible imperialistic quality as well. And I'm hoping that after once we go into this Uranus, July 12th, we go into that Uranus Saturn square, it's going to take, this is 2008, we almost didn't make it. This is really intense and really rough. And the problem is that all of the gains that have been made with certain individuals, and I don't have them broken down by businesses or corporations yet, with Rahu. Rahu is rapid gain, rapid growth, and rapid losses. So it's praying for angels and praying for our higher faculties and our higher natures to prevail. But we're going to have to do something really drastic to change the way our economy is going. This is going to be a difficult crash, and I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to recover from that. We're not going to be able to stay with the same model of this endless growth, malignant capitalism, complete exploitation in every sense of the word. Even, I always think that it's so strange or ironic how, like, for example, the capitalist evangelical types, the ones that want to turn this into a corporate theocracy, not all the evangelicals, but there's, a flock of them. Oh God, I lost my thought again. I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand how they reconcile this within themselves. It doesn't make any sense. And what they have to do to other human beings who are all God's children, what they have to do to them, just, they constantly have their boots on the throats of regular people or people who aren't them. I don't know how they rectify this. I don't know how they rectify this within themselves. And of course, for any of that to happen, they also had to buy, I'd say, the original big lie. That when Paul wrote the Bible, and really not so much, like Paul taught, he did teach some of Jesus's teachings, the morals, the values, but he forgot or didn't forget, he didn't include the teachings of Jesus, the mystery teachings, the sacred words, the sacred syllables. Jesus came here to ascend, and that's what he did. Jesus isn't the only person in the Bible that ascended. We also have Elijah and Elisha. And what Jesus at the end of the day was teaching his disciples, and I would say he, if anything, was a Sat guru. What Sat gurus would teach, or a master would teach, is ascension mechanics, practices by which we can go inside and ascend. In other words, the sounds and the practices can actually convert our material bodies into spirit matter, to elevate everything, because we still are nothing but ribbons of consciousness organized into one conscious being or one conscious vessel. So as we learn how to work with these energies and sense them and feel them and perceive them, our our light bodies become bigger. This is where, people, there are various states, right? This is where people can levitate, lots of that going on. We can bring it to the degree where we're able to, you know, maybe I can put my hand through a door without opening it. I have a discipline, a way of looking at something or viewing something that I can put my hand through the door. The Buddhist rainbow body practice, I really recommend, if you're interested in ascension mechanics, I really recommend reading about rainbow body, because rainbow body is ultimately what happens when you've reached the highest state of consciousness and you ascend. And this incredible light comes out. All rainbows. So definitely check out the Buddhist rainbow body meditations. So going back to Kamala, who doesn't have any time to practice ascension mechanics, girlfriend, because she's too busy getting in the business and wanting to go to war and not be bothered with, I don't mean war, I mean, I have to be careful now. She doesn't want to be bothered with all of that. She wants to get serious. She wants to make money. She wants to have power and be tough. She is tough. So I want to see, oh, you know what? We can take a little, I'm looking at everything and it just looks like a completely different language today. So my head's not here. What I want to do, oh, that's what I can do, is I'm going to take a look at some of the leaders' relationship with the US. I guess Kamala would be good to bring in there. I just came across, and also at the same time, so excitingly discovered that Linda, the Comanche psychic, has connected with a Vedic astrologer. Well, he's just an astrologer of astrology. He's unbelievable. He's British, named Hogarth. So I've been kind of, when I go through my mode, I have different people playing in the background while I'm thinking about what I want to see or questions I want to ask, or kind of allowing it to come to me where I want to go. But he has the coolest setup. Oh my, he has a big, he has a big board. I don't know what, I can't forget what anything, or remember what anything is called anymore. Like, so he has big giant charts that he has sitting behind him that everybody can see. And he does have it set up to where he can jump through different modalities and everybody can kind of travel with him. So I really like his setup, and I'm really glad that Linda's working with him. Those two, with the two of them together, oh my goodness. I haven't gotten a chance to watch the first show yet, but I'm going to be doing that. What I think about is, it's so beautiful to have to have a psychic, like when you're doing research and you're reading through charts, to be able to have a psychic kind of weigh in when you're saying, oh, I'm seeing this there, for example. So, we have the Saturn Uranus square coming July 12th. And I can say, so what this is looking like here is that we have some fifth house stuff going on in the US. That's in Aries. We have Rahu, Mars, and Uranus in the fifth house in the US. So this is where we're looking at all of our creative energies. Plus it's in Aries. I can't even say it. I'm concerned. I am concerned about the wars expanding. I hope that we get some closure very quickly. I am concerned about China and the US. I actually could open that up. I think I have China's chart here too. And I also never really, not that I never really focused on reading for political figures for many years astrologically. That wasn't the direction that I wanted to go. And it's because my astrology teacher told me that, and I believe me, I took everything. Take a lot of things literally, like my whole life. But my astrology teacher told me that you're really not supposed to read somebody else's chart without their express permission. So I never really got into political figures, reading for political figures, because I always felt like, oh, if I don't have their express permission to read their charts and to discuss their charts, then it's just a no-no. I don't discuss other people's charts with, like, in terms of like the Chinese and the Western astrology, you're not really revealing a lot about the individual. It's just sort of a fun conversation to have. I mean, you still are revealing a lot, but you're not revealing intimate details about them. But once you go into either their Western chart or their Jyotish chart, then things become a little bit more personal. And I see, though, when public figures are public figures, the permission is implied if it's available for everyone. The permission is implied. And I'm still grappling with that. I can't. China. Really? Hmm. How do I have Ukraine and not China? All right. Let me see if I can just do a quick and dirty. I'm going to plug it from the. Yeah, sometimes I'll put things, I'll put the charts in my program, and sometimes they get lost. I've had a few different charts disappear even after I've saved them. It gets kind of glitchy. But let's see if somebody else at least has a chart that I can go to really quickly. No, I guess not. So I'm going to go back to here. Oh, this is October 25th. I can do this though. This is useful for me. I'm going to take a picture of it because I don't seem to be able to view the regular birth chart. I'm going to go back. Like for some, the birth chart disappears when I'm looking at the transits, and I can't look at them side by side. So I'm going to give this a shot here, like this. So July 12th, this is also during the Saturn Uranus square. The moon is going to be located in our first house, in the US's first house, in the US's birth chart. Definitely the public, the people, they want to know what's going on. They are very concerned. It's a good place for the moon. We're in Sagittarius, so the moon likes it there. So we're also going to want to look out for earthquakes. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it would be so nice to just sit and sit with the psychic and be able to say, I see this going on astrologically, and being able to go, will have them sort of do their, just go through their search, go through their psychic process, and see if they can't pick up any of those points as they come up. And it is kind of difficult as well. Like, I know the guides will also often talk to the individuals that have that direct communication with their guide and tell them something that they need to share. But also, if you don't ask good questions to psychics, or let me just say this, psychics rely on the quality of a question in order to be able to respond and where they search and where they go. So we have Mercury on the seventh house, and the seventh house of the US. Mercury and the sun are also going to be transiting. So this is also going to be around communications, issues around communications, maybe even the internet. Ah, And we have, thank God we have Jupiter and Pisces right now. Jupiter conjunct Neptune. Yeah, but there's a lot going on with the oil companies too. I just don't know how that's going to land. And then we also have Venus. Venus will be conjunct our Uranus. And that's in our sixth house. That maybe like, I would even start to think of like different, maybe some different discoveries or different cures, because the sixth house is a natural house of health. Uh, Uranus is change and transition, and Venus aspecting. There could be some new discoveries, some new cures, new beauty aids, new thoughts, in any of the arts, new thoughts in music, new thoughts in maybe even cosmetic surgery. Huh. Oh, I see this talk. Oh, for the day. Okay. So we could have some, this is what I'm looking at a little closer now. Eighth house. Moon, eighth house is Cancer in the US, in the sidereal zodiac. Like, I can't find my words to. In the sidereal, it's Cancer is the eighth house, but in Western, it's July 4th. It would be, oh, well, that's the ascendant anyway. So we have Mercury conjunct Rahu. That's in the U.S. That's in the U.S. Astrological chart, and we have Moon in Sagittarius during that time in July 12th. So there could be, this is going to be an activation, because the moon, basically the presence of the moon triggers events. When an event is shown to be happening, that's the moon. The moon is what will trigger the event, and also the inner planets. So you can also think of Mercury, Venus, and Mars, the same thing. Those are the planets that tend to trigger events, but the moon is the most active. So we're looking at Mercury conjunct Rahu in the eighth house of the US chart. And while there aren't any planets direct in that house on July 12th, we have the moon. Again, so with that Rahu is rapid gains, rapid losses. So that moon could be also triggering issues with inheritance, pension, investments. And as well, I believe it was from 1982, another period when Saturn was in a hard aspect to Uranus. That was when I was a little kid. It was a Pan Am flight. When it had gotten to, it was a terrible plane crash. So when it had risen to a particular altitude, it activated. There was a bomb inside of it, and then of course it crashed in Scotland. So this is really looking along the lines of earthquakes, possible crashes, and I pray to God not we find a diplomatic solution and we're not going to be going to war with yet another country. That's why I wanted to take a look at China, but I might be able to do, let's see if this will. A compatibility composite between Joe and Xi Jinping. Oh, okay, there we go. So let's squirt. Nothing. Well, they both have going to be a pretty good indicator of power. They both have Pluto. They both have Pluto in Cancer. So this is Joe Biden's 9th house. And Xi Jinping's 3rd house. Xi Jinping has Ketu in his 3rd house, and Joe Biden has Jupiter retrograde in his 9th. So we could also kind of, in terms of communication, we can say what he communicates to Joe Biden is that he wants to maybe bring down or conquer or dominate or win, well, what? Taiwan. So what's going to be communicated to Joe Biden? Xi Jinping is going to want it. They're going to come to blows over Taiwan. It doesn't necessarily mean war, but that there's going to be a lot of contest. There's a lot of contest between them just right there. Xi Jinping has Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in his 12th house in Aries, which is also where Joe Biden has his moon located. And his is in his 6th house. So this is his house of work, Joe Biden's house of work and relationships, and his work relationships, overall health, all of those things. And for Xi Jinping, It's his 12th house. It's his final liberation, his final moksha. These guys, let me tell you, these world leaders, Joe Biden's issues, though, his planetary changes, his stuff, eh, he doesn't really have anything going on with his 12th house. His issues are his seventh and first. And those are going to change as we go, as the subperiods change as well. His first major period is Saturn. That's in his seventh house in retrograde. So Saturn is very strong. It is really hard to get him to break with tradition and break with convention in order for him to be able to move forward in his life. That can be tough. With Xi Jinping, where the Saturn is. So really part of what it looks like is that because Xi Jinping's ascendant is Joe Biden's seventh house. So there may be some delay or something is going on in their relationship. And also, Joe Biden's Saturn is conjunct Uranus. And again, because he's a world leader, I'm looking at this more in terms of Uranus is about the new, it's about revolution, it's about throwing out the old, and Saturn is about the old. So yeah, this is a tumultuous relationship. And what I was saying with Xi Jinping is he has Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in his 12th house. Joe Biden, so his 12th house is relative to Joe Biden's 6th house. So you have an open enemies situation, which is your 6th house as well. And you have the hidden enemies, which would be Xi Jinping's chart. Joe Biden, well, this is just an Aries, just taking a look at this. If I want to go back and look at his dashas again. Xi Jinping's dashas. That's right. That's okay. Now it's coming back to me. So Xi Jinping, however, is in a major Venus period. His Venus is located in his 12th house. And I'll come back and come back with the partnership, the love match composite. So Xi Jinping himself is also dealing with 12th house issues. His Venus isn't very comfortable in Aries, in between Mars and Jupiter. So whatever is going on in terms of commerce, all of those things, it's not looking like Xi Jinping may be coming out on top. And what I hope that means is that maybe we'll have to have a really tough negotiation or redraw pacts, redraw. Hi, Mo Runs. Oh, Pan Am 800, thank you. Hi, JG. Oh my God, my support systems are here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I come live, I should just have a format anyway, because I start jumping all over the place and I lose my words and I lose my sense of order. But the Xi Jinping, actually, this excites me a little bit. This excites me a little bit. Things may get pretty scary. Listen, we're going to be freaking out. July 12th, hang on to your hat. But they may actually, draw up a new pact. They may actually, I can't even think of what come to a new agreement. They come to a new agreement, and I think I just want to see how strong Joe's moon is. Again, yeah, he has good strength in his moon. Joe Biden, he may actually be able to cultivate a friendly relationship with him. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, we're going to be okay. And I've been talking about before too, yeah, because it is scary. What I've been talking about earlier is that with so much of what's going on right now, in terms of what all this fallout is about, is that our technology has advanced beyond our spiritual development. So then events happen, changes, catalysts, triggers occur to put us back into the place where we can break down what didn't work and rebuild again, and in the most authentic and pure way possible. We're going to be okay. Oh. Wow, you guys, I feel so bad. You guys just got here, and I'm at the top of the hour. I didn't want to run off, and I haven't been able to get on the way that I want to. Unfortunately, I have an appointment in like 15 minutes that I have to go on. But I want to make it a point that I research to see if China uses astrology to select their leaders. And now I have to mark where I'm looking at Aries, Xi Jinping. I'm going to look at that a little bit more between he and Joe Biden. So yeah, because what we know about Joe Biden is that when he makes friends with people, when he works with people, a lot of times he ends up developing these really deep relationships where he takes them in and they become like family to him. He really has such a tough time. But that's Scorpios too, because Scorpio corresponds to Year of the Pig. And what they say about Year of the Pig people is that they don't let you in right away. They're tough. You can't get to know them right away. But once they let you inside their hearts, they never let you go. So pigs always have to watch out for compliments because they're being fattened up for the kill. So, and what I'm looking at in Kamala's chart as well is still, I'm thinking something will happen that she rises to power. It puts her in charge, maybe not like temporarily, but she goes in and breaks up the relationships and the monotony that Joe Biden just doesn't have the heart to do. That's kind of what this is feeling like right now. So I will close for now. I will be back, stumbling around as usual today. I will be back Monday, and I'm still going to see if I can't cram something in. If I have a few more people cooperating with me with schedules, I can get something more meaningful up and running this weekend. So I keep saying I'm going to do it, and it's time. Okay. Thank you for coming. All my love and travel light. Oh, and I'll give Michael your regards. I might be able to get him back in here. Maybe this weekend. We'll see. Okay. Take care.